When it comes to video production, a lot of things, they can get very expensive. If you want to have good lighting, you need lights. If you want a good audio, you need a nice microphone. If you want to have interesting camera movement, you might need a gimbal or rig. But when it comes to framing and composition, you don't really need to worry about how much money it costs to actually frame your shots because it's free. You have to place your camera in a way where the image looks as best as possible, where the elements around you look as best as possible. So if you just throw your camera up onto a tripod and you give no actual thought to your environment or your subject, that is not framing and composition, that is chaos. Your subject, in this case, this would be me. Your background, in this case, it's black. It is not full of distractions. There's not a lot of elements going on. Even though this is a very cluttered room, there is a piano and drum kit, there are sound panels and a cross and speakers and yeah, there's a lot of junk back there. I've decided to compose the shot in such a way where those elements are not distracting to the audience's eye. Composition applies everywhere. When you look at a painting, you know that the artist has given some thought and has actually placed their items in a certain way that is most appealing. At least they should have. Usually paintings aren't just thrown together because they are a lot of work to be able to properly craft the way that the image is displayed. So just because you have a lot of detail or your camera is really nice, that does not mean that you're going to have great quality. All of that doesn't matter if the subject that is in 4K and has those 10-bit colors, if you're not actually displaying it or properly placing it in such a way that it is most flattering. There's also the camera itself and where it is placed, like how high or how low it is. And that will drastically change the feel and the mood of the shot. It also explains how much power the subject has. The way that the Terminator is shot, you always see Arnold Schwarzenegger being filmed from a camera that is being placed lower down. That is because that makes him look much larger. So for example, if you have it where the camera is placed down low and it's looking up at you, you look very high and mighty. It's a very common look. I've done it many times, and it makes the subject really stand out and look much more mighty. You can also make it so that you give the appearance of someone being on a big stage by looking up tall at them and being like, wow, look how important they are. So why is it that I have not placed the camera low? I've decided to place the camera, right at eye level. Well, that's because I don't want to belittle my audience. I want to be approachable and I want to be casual. I don't want them to appear as though I am looking down at you to smite you all. I want this video to be very casual because that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm a casual guy. I have a casual personality. Even when you're doing something as simple as like a video chat, thinking about where your camera is placed will give you a big difference. That being said, there's no bad way of going about framing and composition. These are just general thoughts. These are general tips that I'm giving you, because really it's up to you, and the decisions that you make will affect the way that the audience feels. So the only bad approach that you can make is not giving a crap and just throwing the camera up onto a tripod and not really thinking about how you're placing the elements in your shot or what your shot looks like. That is something I see far too often, and something that I would like to really change. And it really separates the amateurs from the professionals when it comes to video production. Right now, I am directly addressing you, which is why I'm looking in the general direction of the camera. It is also why I have decided to frame myself smack dab in the middle. Normally, not a great suggestion. Usually this shot kind of gets a bit boring. If I were filming a subject where we were having an interview or a conversation, I would not be looking directly into the camera. I find that's just a bad idea. It doesn't look natural. People don't talk naturally to a camera. Right now I'm following the rule of thirds. You can tell that I'm doing so because of this grid that I placed right here. The way that this grid works is that you frame your shot where you are having your subject on either one of these lines or where the lines intercept. And that will give you the most pleasing image or the most pleasing results. It's a very powerful tool, and I highly recommend using it. It's really good if you're able to lay your subject on one of these lines or where the lines intercept, like this. It will also give you some symmetry, some balance. Even where my shoulders are sitting is whereabouts approximately the lines intercept. Where my eyes are sitting is generally where the line is. And so I'm following the rule of thirds as best I can, even though I am talking directly to you. But if I was somewhere in the middle, see, this is, for one thing, I am far less comfortable because I am slouching a lot. But another thing, look how much space is above my head and around me. I don't look nearly as good or as confident as I did before. There is so much dead space, and dead space is just not advisable. Same thing can be said if I cut my head off. So if I sit like this right here, this is just not pleasant. You're seeing far too much of my torso and you're not seeing the top of my head. It is gone. And so part of the subject, my head, that I'm trying to address you with is gone. And that's distracting and not pleasant at all. And you'll see in Hollywood, they follow these rules quite often. And when they break the rules, it's for a deliberate reason. So definitely give that some thought, even if you're just doing a Skype call or if you have to do some sort of visual presentation on a camera or phone. Try to think through your framing composition because it will drastically improve the quality of your video. It's not like it costs a lot of money. You know, this is free to do so. If you stabilize your camera either with, you know, a Kleenex box or some books or a lamp, for goodness sake, you know, you can get away with doing a lot of things. But when I see a lot of student films or a lot of amateur work, when I see my own work from the past, from my early days, I see this rule being broken all the time. And it wasn't that I was breaking the rule for a deliberate reason. I didn't know that it existed. I didn't know that these rules of composition were a thing. Or how to follow them exactly. And I didn't know that I needed to be paying close attention to them. If you guys are still confused about framing and composition, you can feel free to contact me. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that these videos in general are helpful to you. Keep at it, guys. You know, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna be okay. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.